So here we are in the shop. Just thought we'd take some few minutes, show you what we have going on. We just finished our showroom. We have our R32 HPA turbo sitting in here with the FR450 kit in it. So that just sits here for the winter in this newly built showroom. But come through here, let's check out what we got going on. So here we got our 2017 R we're building for our customer. This is the one, if you saw in our previous video, it came in with a bottom end knock really bad, and we found out that the stage 4 race clutch or whatever was in it blew, and it was so stiff that it shifted the crank back and forth. Well, now we're just waiting for our motor to come from HPA that's in transit right now, and it's gonna have an FR450 kit already on it, so we got to install that in the next couple weeks. So we're gonna start actually taking that apart, and we'll make a video of pulling the motor out of that in the next couple days. Here we have this is the original one we had built a couple years ago. It's a 2017 R again, but we were the second in North America with the FR450 kit. Well, it's back, but we're gonna upgrade it to the FR500 with port injection. So stay tuned for that. It's the first time we are going to be putting a port injection kit on one of these cars. So that's gonna be interesting. The European models already have the port injection, which is a really good kit, because with all the carbon issues that we're having, I believe the port injection will help with washing that carbon off the back of the valves. But as well, we need the port injection to properly fuel it with the bigger turbo. So we'll be doing that next. As well, it's not here right now, but we are receiving parts for another build we're doing for a 15 GTR, which is the FR450 kit. So after we pull this motor out, we're gonna have a full crate coming from HPA with parts for all 3 of these cars. So we'll start pulling this out, and then we're gonna get back to that crate and pull everything apart. got the heart of the beast out. So this is the one that had actually dropped a thrust washer out of the bottom end, out of the crank. And we're just waiting for a crate to come from HPA with our new motor with the FR450 turbo right on it. But here we took the transmission out, and you can see this heavy duty clutch that's on here. It's either a race clutch or drag clutch, whatever they call it, but it's a DKM. Now, doing research on it, we found that these DKMs, biggest complaint is chatter with it. And with such a heavy clutch on something like this, it actually shifted the crank back and forth like we mentioned earlier. So be careful. If you want to put a heavier clutch on these, pick the right one, do your research, South Bend and spec.
And get a professional to install it too.
Yes, that's another issue we had with this. This was done by someone, we don't know who. We found a lot of stripped bolts when pulling the drive shaft out, when pulling the mount out for the transmission. They just lined up the bolt and cranked it in with the gun. So we got to go back and rethread, Haley coil things. So and it's a shame because it's a fairly new car. It's a 2017. It's only got 69,000 kilometers on it, and it's a shame that this happened at such a low kilometers. And when it's things like that, the car would actually be under factory warranty, but because it was caused by the installing a clutch like this, Volkswagen said, no, you're on your own. So unfortunate for the guy, he's got to pay for an engine, but we're going to put an FR450 on it. So even though he's got to pay for an engine, he's going to have a lot more power when it's done. So stay tuned for the rest. So we got our crate from HPA, and here's so this is a takeoff Golf R motor. It's already got a high pressure pump on it, the HPA one, as well as the IS38 Hybrid or the FR450 turbo. So we're gonna unpack everything and see what's in here. There's actually enough for 2 builds in here. All these other boxes you see on the floor are for the 2015 GTI that we're doing with an FR450 kit as well. So they managed to pack everything into this crate. So what we're gonna do today is unpack it, kind of inventory everything, and then we'll have to take this engine out, put it right next to the motor that came out of the car, and transfer the wiring over, all the electrical, and then have it all ready, bolted up to the old transmission that was in there with a new South Bend stage 3 daily clutch, and then we can put it back in the car. So let's go. So we have our motors switched over. We have everything stripped off of the original R motor that was in the Golf, and we got everything put on to the HPA motor with the FR450 turbo, and it's ready to go in the car. But before we do that, a few other things we have to do. So come here, we'll show you. We just have our downpipes here. They have to get put in first. So we'll have them in place before we put the motor up. And then over here we have our basically our front rad support from the R, and then we have the new intercooler from HPA that needs to get put in. So we're going to be now just getting it all ready. So we'll have to take the intercooler out of the rad support and putting the new HPA one in place. So that's ready to go, and then the downpipe's ready to go, and then you start putting the motor all together. So keep watching. We have the new HPA intercooler mounted right in place of the factory Golf R intercooler, and as you can see, it bolts right in place. No cutting out the bumper or rad support or customizing anything to make fit. Nice OEM fitment. Now, with these Mark 7s, one thing that's interesting is everything is clips. There's no screws to unbolt the fan assembly, as well as the intercooler or the radiator. So there you have it. Now we'll move on to putting that downpipe in place. So we have the motor all put together. All the parts transferred. There's the FR450 turbo, which is the IS38 Hybrid. It's on there already. Over to the other side, we've already got the HPA high pressure fuel pump. Everything's together. Everything's on there, and it's ready to go back into the engine. Downpipe, HPA to it. 2.5 inch downpipe is already in place. So let's get this thing in. So we got the exhaust all in on this Golf R with the FR450. Now, you can see here, we fabbed a new bypass pipe for the center muffler that now connects nice and smooth to the 3-inch rear exhaust that's on this car. Someone had put this on here already as a bypass pipe. It was very restrictive, so we replaced it with this nice pipe here, which now makes a nice connection between the Remus rear exhaust and HPA's 3-inch downpipe. So it's almost all done, and now we're just putting on the front bumper and rad support, final connections, and we can start it up and start the programming of the ECU.
So we're just tuning the Golf R now. What we had to do first, because Volkswagen had never updated the software, it was running the original software version 001. So what we're doing is we're simply updating the ECU software to the latest version, which is 003. Then once this is done, then we can write the programming for the FR450 tune. So this is going to take a little bit. Okay, so we've successfully updated the ECU to the latest version of Volkswagen software, again, which was version number 003. So now with HPA's newest one port, it's time to do the read of the ECU. I just have the car running for a little bit just to build up the battery. We are going to put a battery tender on it while we are doing this process, just to make sure it doesn't go flat and ruin anything in the ECU or to interrupt the programming. So here we go. Okay, so what we do now, turn that off. We're gonna go to tuning. We're gonna go down, down, obviously all the way down to Volkswagen. So Volkswagen, next, and we're going to go down to Golf, and we are going to go down and it's a Continental CMOS 18.1, so 6-speed manual, TSI-R, that's the one. We're gonna go next. Key on and confirm. Key on, confirm. All right, so I got the download page here for the PWG. Gotta download the software. The reading did complete successfully, thanks to Alan at HPA. Kind of walked me through how to do it. A little bit different from the old system, the old one port. A little bit nicer of a user interface on this one, so let's extract this and do the reading. It would help if I plugged it in, right? So we finally got the tune file back and we're just writing it now. It's erasing the ECU and then it's going to start loading the new program on. So the programming is all done. Now it's time for the first start. Very nice.
We got the R all done. We just got the programming in this morning. So we've got the stage 3 tune from HPA, FR450 turbo. And there's the engine bay. And that's what's nice about the HPA turbo kits. They look OEM. The only thing that gives it away is the silicone intake tube. And if you look down there, you got the HPA badge on the downpipe. As well, this one has an HPA front-mounted intercooler, and you can't tell. It fits right in place of the original intercooler, no trimming of the rad support or the bumper. It fits right in. So this customer is going to be really happy with this one, even though We ended up replacing the motor because it was defective, but now he has a 450 horsepower Golf R. If you come around here, he's got his winters on, but he's got a nice Remus axle back exhaust. So now it's 3 inches right from the turbo right back. We bypassed the center muffler and put in a 3-inch pipe to meet up with HPA's 3-inch downpipe.
And what's nice about the exhaust is it has the electronic valve that you can open it and close it depending on how you want to drive.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty tame. So around your neighborhood, shut it off and it sounds nice and quiet. Open it up and it's pretty loud.
Okay. Yep.
So that's it. So now we just gave it a quick wash because we are here in January in Niagara, so the roads are pretty messy, and we're gonna just take it out again for another drive and log some numbers and send it off to HPA for their final approval that everything looks like it's running properly, no under fueling or anything like that, or the boost is not spiking at any time. So we're gonna do that and then ready to give it back to his excited owner.
So here we are in the first drive. How's it feel?
It's actually really smooth. Acceleration's nice. We haven't really pushed it too much. We're just kind of warming it up, taking it around the block a few times.
Feels nice. We had to close the exhaust flap because that's way too loud.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. That's nicer. So we're just gonna do a quick highway pull. See how
We're gonna do a rolling second. Third.
Nice.
So let's go back to the shop. We'll check it all over for leaks, and make sure all the boost hoses are all tight, and then we'll bring it out again for another log, and then it's ready for the customer.
So what we're doing now is we're just going to do a couple pulls. The first pull, we're going to be looking at the values for all the timing. We're going to make sure that it doesn't reach anywhere less or above 7 to 8 degrees of timing. And then we're going to do boost, and then we're going to do fueling. And we're just going to make sure that all the parameters are within spec. If everything's good to go, then the customer is going to be okay to pick up the vehicle. So we're going to start these pulls now. Perfect. So now we're checking. Oh, someone lost a hubcap. So now we're just going to check boost and make sure that the specified is close to the actual. Yep. Beautiful. Yep.
So we're gonna do a second gear pull here.
So this is the advantage with having a custom pro tune, so to speak. when we were doing the logs and we send them off to HPA, we had noticed that the fueling seemed to be a little bit off. It drove fine, everything felt okay, but when we were looking at the logs, the fueling was a little bit off spec. So we sent the logs off to HPA and they did a little bit of an adjustment in the tuning so that it would be within the spec, within parameters. So we just wrote that software, we wrote that program onto the Golf R, and now Steve and I are gonna go, we're gonna take it out for one more drive. We're gonna do those 3 pulls again. We're gonna log fueling, timing, and boost. We're gonna make sure that everything is 100% in spec this time, and then the customer is good to pick it up.
Thanks again, guys. I can't, honestly, I can't thank you.
No problem.
Talk to you later.